Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. Before I get started on today's episode, just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel and pushing to 3,000 subscribers. So if you guys do enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So there has been some interesting news coming out regarding the Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal trade, and Chris Haynes and Shams both came out yesterday saying that, first Chris Haynes said that the Milwaukee Bucks are basically not interested in Bradley Beal. So there were reports saying that the Heat, the Bucks, the Suns, and a fourth team, maybe the Raptors or the Pistons, would be involved in a Jimmy Butler trade. We saw the Phoenix Suns trade their coveted 2031 pick for 3 picks, which we assumed would be distributed to the Miami Heat and to the Bucks or whatever team that was going to acquire Bradley Beal as a sweetener, and to incentivize that team to take on Bradley Beal's horrible contract. And it made it seem like the Bucks were interested in giving up Middleton, Portis, and whatever in order to help facilitate a Jimmy Butler trade. And Chris Haynes yesterday said, contrary to popular belief, I was just informed that the Bucks have not inquired about Bradley Beal. In fact, it was explained to me that a connection between the two is non-existent. So if the Phoenix Suns want to be able to acquire Butler, it would not come via the Milwaukee Bucks taking on Beal, which is a new interesting wrinkle. And it doesn't seem like folks want the Bradley Beal contract. Like, that is the biggest kicker here. And he holds all the cards. It's true. Him and the Miami Heat hold the cards, because the Miami Heat don't have to trade Jimmy Butler. They could deal with this drama, this circus, this quitting of Jimmy Butler, and they could, man up and send him home without or with pay, or they can keep trying to suspend him, based on his behavior, which would be dumb for Jimmy Butler to do. And that's something the Miami Heat might have to do if they can't get a trade market for Jimmy Butler, because right now teams are not offering the Miami Heat a ton for Jimmy Butler because he only wants to go to the Suns. Other teams don't believe that he will pick up his player option, so it's a 1-season rental. Not even, it's a half-season rental. So how much are teams like the Grizzlies or who else has been linked to? Maybe Warriors or Rockets or whoever, Dallas, any team, what are they going to offer Jimmy Butler if he's only going to be there for half a season? They're not going to give up the farm for a player who is not going to pick up his player option, so they at least have him for a full season the next year, or wants to extend with any other team besides the Phoenix Suns. Like, this is a pickle. This is a dilemma. This is not good. It felt like after the Suns made that trade for those 3 first-round picks, it was closer, and that Jimmy Butler was going to be traded soon. But Shams also said, this may surprise you, but they're not as close as a lot of people think they are after the Utah trade. It does give the Suns some flexibility and optionality, but those talks with the Miami Heat and other teams to facilitate for a Jimmy Butler trade have been ongoing. So after Jimmy Butler got suspended, I thought for sure he's done. He's not going to be playing in a Miami Heat uniform again. I figured that the Miami Heat have until Sunday to trade Jimmy Butler before the suspension ends, and that he's back home on Monday against the Orlando Magic. I just can't see a world where Jimmy Butler is in a Miami Heat jersey. Like, the other option I see is, again, Mickey Harrison finally just paying Jimmy Butler to stay away from the team, because it's going to ruin the development of the team, and it's a distraction, and it's not going to lead to winning. Like, there's conflict right now. Jimmy Butler, we don't know what Jimmy Butler we're getting on each possession. Like, is Jimmy going to play on ball? Is he going to try on this position? Is he going to stay in the corner? Is he going to shoot over 10 field goal attempts per game, which he's not? Like, what is Jimmy going to do? Like, is he going to distribute tonight, or is he just going to stand around in the dunker spot? It's a big distraction. It's not going to lead to wins, and it's not going to lead to cohesion for this young and up-and-coming Miami Heat team. And it's going to take away from Tyler Herro, who's developing into an all-star, and it's just not great for Tyler Herro's development on this team. So, it's just, it looks like there's no teams that are interested in Bradley Beal right now, and that's one of the biggest hurdles. And also, Bradley Beal's agent did also come out and elaborated on Beal's no trade clause. And his agent is what's his name, Barrelstein. He said basically that there's no truth that Bradley would waive his no trade clause for the following teams that were mentioned: Lakers, Nuggets, Heat, Milwaukee are the four teams that have been reported that Bradley Beal would waive his no trade clause for. And he said Bartelstein basically said these reports have been created out of thin air. And he said that Bradley and the Suns have not talked about a trade. They've had one conversation when all this first came up a few weeks ago, but they have not had ongoing conversations with Bradley about lifting his no trade clause. They talked about how him and LeBron are the only two players that have one, which is insane. Not for LeBron, obviously, but it's insane that Bradley Beal still has one. And that he's not going to take that lightly. Like, he earned that apparently when he was good. But he said right now Bradley's focusing on healing his ankle so that he can help the Suns win, which is just hilarious because he's always hurt, always just injured and not available, and has the fifth highest contract in the NBA today. Bradley Beal is nowhere near the fifth best player in the NBA, nowhere near even the top 20 in the NBA today. And so I could see why teams don't want to pay him upwards of $60 million. He has 2 years left after this season. So he's going to be making like 55, 58, and 60, which is just absurd for a guy who is now not a star, not an all-star, and who's a shell of himself. He's 31 years old, and he's always injury prone. Like, he's already missed like 15 games this season already, like at this point, or 12 games, whatever it is. So this is going to be a very interesting few days, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I can't imagine this Miami Heat team continuing to have Jimmy Butler on this roster. I think if he doesn't get traded, then Mickey has to send him home or find new ways of suspending him without pay, or just paying him to stay away from the team because it's too much of a distraction. And I don't think it's worth it at this point. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.